Welcome back. Well, now we're joined by Mr. Andem Andem, who is the spokesperson for Akwa Ibom Amalgamated Political Action Committee. He's also a legal practitioner. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we'll turn our attention now to the elections that happened in Akwa Ibom State. I'm sure you've heard the complaints that the APC has put forward about how the whole event played itself out. What's your account of what happened?
Okay, let me thank you for affording us the platform to clear up, mix up in the air, near satanic propaganda and facts that have been upturned regarding what happened in Akwa Ibom. I voted, participated, monitored, and came from Akwa Ibom only yesterday. So I'm on top of the factual situation on ground. Now, the whole world has been fed with gross and crass misinformation regarding what happened. The first point I need to make clearly is that election is a process, and the casting of vote is only but one aspect of that process.
Albeit very key.
All the stages interlink, and they all work together. All are key. If you are not accredited, you can't vote. So all the aspects are key. So when there is a complaint about elections, the first question is, which aspect of the election are you talking about? If you are talking about casting vote, that is a personal right. If you decide not to exercise it, no cause of action lies against you. But what you do is that you have lost the moral, and I dare say the legal, high ground to challenge the outcome of a process which you elected not to be part of. You can't challenge it.
Elected not to be part of, or were prevented from being part of?
Elected not to be part of. No one prevented you from exercising your franchise.
Because that's what some of them say, that there were thugs there who came in there, carted away some of the electoral materials, and prevented them from casting their votes.
You see, let me be very frank. There is no election in the world that may not have negligible issues, especially where you have bad losers. And APC in Akwa Ibom State is a classical example of a bad loser, because they have refused to take a cue from the President Goodluck Jonathan's example. The model has been set. They've forgotten that our democracy has just lost the adjective called nascent. We have moved away from the era where you must cry wolf even when there is none. If a party and a man could concede victory and put national interest forward, that is a bold statement that the standards have changed. I make bold to declare here that APC in Akwa Ibom is still operating on the old template that Nigeria has moved away from, which was completely analog. Because there is empirical evidence to show now that several PDP governors, some serving in several states, Benue and across board, who have lost elections, have reached out to congratulate the other party. President Jonathan has set the new standard. Nigeria has moved to another level in terms of democratic best practice. APC is still alleging issues that border on criminality. And the standard of proof here is beyond reasonable doubt.
You're an NGO, are you?
Yes.
Because you sound more like you're talking from the point of a political party. I could have sworn that you're a member of a political party.
NGO members still have a right to vote. They have a right to have political inclination.
I'm not, so it means that you're inclined towards the PDP, is that?
In fact, not just inclined. We did undertake, which is part of our objective, individual and corporate due diligence checks on all the parties that put themselves forward as well as their candidates. And part of our objective was to educate the Akwa Ibom voter, equip him or her with the requisite skills to make effective decisions regarding the vote. For that is the only power.
And I take that to mean that you also campaigned for the PDP?
I did not campaign for PDP. We educated the Akwa Ibom person because we need skills. Skill sets required these days have changed. In the days when banking was the craze, you needed to be equipped with banking skills. Same for the oil sector.
No, I'm trying to keep it with the election.
Yes.
And I think that the questions are pretty straightforward. So
yes.
You campaigned or you helped educate the voter during these elections in Akwa Ibom State.
Yes.
Did you also observe the elections in Akwa Ibom State, or did you restrict yourself to just voting in your polling unit on that day?
As an individual, I voted in my unit, I monitored my results, followed it up to Coalition Center, and made sure that I've finished my process. And the pre-voting lecture and seminars that we had across the state equipped every other person and member of my group to do the same. So the first issue is, whoever complains must restrict himself to what he can directly testify to.
Exactly. So did you observe elections in Akwa Ibom State, or this was what you observed in your polling unit?
In my polling unit, there was no issue of violence. Materials came on time. I got accredited at 8:22. Everything was smooth.
Where was this?
In Etinan Urban Ward 1, Post Office.
Okay, so that is your polling unit.
Yes.
I'm asking, did your organization observe elections across Akwa Ibom?
Definitely. After the election, we had what we call post-election review meeting. This is where we receive.
Just a moment, sir. You were part of the accredited observers, INEC accredited observers?
No, I have not said so, and you will appreciate if you don't put those words in my mouth. I make all my statements advisedly. Every citizen has a constitutional duty to observe election, whether you are accredited by INEC
I
or by
totally
European
understand
Union.
that. I'm simply asking if your organization also observed elections in Akwa Ibom State. That's all I'm asking.
I said yes.
But you observed it as members of, people who were going to vote in their different polling units.
Of course.
Okay, so how many members did you have spread across Akwa Ibom State?
We have membership across the entire local governments in Akwa Ibom State.
So you observed elections in all 33 local governments in Akwa Ibom State?
Exactly.
Okay, that's the premise upon which I believe that you will be able to make the conclusions that you're making.
Exactly.
Did you observe anywhere at all that, election materials were stolen in any unit, wherever?
After the elections, we had post-election review meeting, and we received reports of negligible issues bordering on the fringes regarding one, materials may not have come on time, and all of that. And
How about inadequate supply of materials?
Inadequacy, we did not have issues regarding inadequacy.
All right, look at, there's a story before me.
Yes.
It was in Vanguard, April 11th. In 18 and local government area, at Urban Ward 1, Unit 006, I'm quoting the story, the INEC officials complained of inadequate ballot papers, claiming they got 650 ballot papers as against 750 needed. Did you ever hear of this kind of story?
I'm not aware of that. You have quoted INEC officials. I heard you're supposed to give them materials. INEC. So INEC is the better party for you to address that question.
So don't you think that perhaps this, and maybe if I look through some others, don't you think that people who complain that all didn't go well have a point?
Well, whosoever has a point must prove. That's what we're saying. But I speak regarding what I experienced directly and participated in. There were no issues. But let me make this clear.
Let me comment before you clarify on that. You used the word empirical evidence,
yes,
which is very key. And you say you have empirical evidence to show that elections were credible and peaceful. And Mark's question is to ascertain the veracity of that. If you say you have people of your organization spread across the entire Akwa Ibom State, is there a point where you had a report of at least one anomaly?
Yes.
So
yes.
Where was that?
This was in the case of General Edet Akpan, the former Director General, NYSC, a retired Major General of the Nigerian Army. You see, security was naturally beefed up. AIG Adisa Bolanta came in on a special mission, all to ensure the credibility, so that state actors that are domiciled locally will not have the final say on issues of security. We acceded to that because we needed to back up the...
All right, what we'll do, just pardon us, we'll come back to perhaps listen to what that film is all about, and then you'll tell us whether or not that didn't happen in Akwa Ibom State. But just give us a minute. We'll need to go over to Imana Amawe for a look at the headlines. Imana.